بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله وبارك على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا أما بعد. Alhamdulillah, today we continue to read through some of these aḥādīth found in this book al-Muḥarrar by Ibn Abd al-Hādī and the explanation of Shaykh Zayd al-Madkhalī raḥimahullāh. And we have the next hadith, which is the hadith of ʿA'ishah radiyallahu anha أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قال من مات وعليه الصيام صام عنه وليه. And so the Messenger of Allah صلى الله عليه وسلم, he mentioned that whoever dies whilst it's upon him to complete a fast or to complete fasts, then his walī, his guardian, fasts in his place. This narration is muttafaq alayhi, yani that is found in both Sahih Bukhārī and Sahih Muslim. And Shaykh Zayd mentions that this hadith is a dalil ala mashru'iyyat qada' as-sawm amma man mat wa alayhi sawm. And so this hadith is a proof that you can make up the fast for the one that has passed away. So you make up the fast on their behalf. And there's some detail in relation to that. And Shaykh Zayd mentions, من مات وعليه الصوم النذر ألزم به نفسه أيام الحياة ولم يمكن وفاء به فإن على ولي من أقرب الناس إليه أن يصوم عنه. And so, if an individual, for example now, the fast that he has to complete is the fast of the mother. So he made a vow to fast. And he's not able to complete that before his death. Then the walī, the guardian, makes up that fast on him or on his behalf. All we understand from the narration and from the mention of the walī, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's the walī, yani the person's guardian in relation to, for example, the father. Now, however, it is what we refer to as the aqrab al-nas ilayk, are those that are closest to you in relation. That's what they refer to in English generally as the next of kin. That the person that is closer to you in relation, that they should make up the fast on your behalf. So if the person, in this scenario here, he has made a vow, and he hasn't made up that fast for the vow, then aqrab al-nas ilay yasum anhu, the closest people to him, fast on his behalf. لأنه دين لله عز وجل فوجب قضاؤه. And so the reason for that is a dayn. It's a debt that a person has with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so because it's a debt that he has, that to make up that fast, then he must, it must be made up by someone on his behalf if he has not made it up before his death. And so this is in relation to the fast of the mother. Now, just as if a person had a dayn, a normal debt. Now, a person has a debt, we understand that one of the first things that are done with the wealth of the deceased is that it's used to pay for their debts. Now, before anything else. Before it's even divided amongst their relatives in inheritance, the wealth is used to pay off the debts first. And so this fast that needs to be made up is considered to be from those debts. Even though it's not monetary, it still needs to be made up because he made the vow to fast. And he wasn't able to complete it. Now, and Shaykh Zayd mentions Ben wa aham, that this particular fast that needs to be made up is considered to be even more important than the debt that a person needs to pay at any point, and needs to be paid on their behalf. Why? Because this day that we refer to here is a debt with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, they've made a vow, essentially a promise to their Lord Azza wa Jalla that they're going to do this action. So it needs to be done. Now, either they do it themselves, or if they're not able to because they're prevented by death, then it's done, it's made up on their behalf. Now that debt is made up on their behalf. طيب. وإن كان الصوم الذي مات عنه صاحب واجبا بأصل الشرع وقد أمكنه القضاء ولكنه قصر في ذلك فإنه يطعم عنه من تركته. And so we mentioned the first type of fast, which was the fast of the vow. The second fast, that is a fast that is obligatory in the usul al-shar. So it's originally obligatory in the religion and legislation. So for example, what? Fast Ramadan. No, fast Ramadan. Let's call it the open goal. It's an easy one. We're doing it already. Now, so essentially the fast of Ramadan is obligatory in the Sharia. Now, it's not the same as the vow. Why? Because the vow is not obligatory for the person to do. Then when he makes that vow, he makes an obligation upon himself. In this case, it's the original obligation of the fast of Ramadan, for example. Now, or to make up the fast of Ramadan. Now, qada. Ala kullin, if the individual has a fast for the month of Ramadan to make up, ولكنه قصر في ذلك, and he fell short in relation to making it up. So he had ample time to make up those fasts that he missed for Ramadan, for example, but he doesn't make them up. Now, then in this regard, the Shaykh Zayd mentioned, for each day that he needs to fast, his relatives, those that he's left behind, pay to feed for every day the miskin. Now, pay for every day to feed the poor individual that they need to make up. Now, and so, as for the one لم يمكنه القضاء بل توفي قبل ذلك فلا قضاء عليه. And as for the one that was not able, to make up those fasts, فلا قضاء عليه. There's nothing to be made up in that regard. Now, and so this here, barakallahu feekum, is a distinction that is made. So you have an action which is obligatory. A fast is obligatory. And the fast which is obligatory is of two types. Now, fast which is obligatory is of two types. You have the fast which is obligatory, which is an obligation for the asl al-shar. Now, so it's originally obligatory in the Sharia. For example, the fast of Ramadan. Now, if a person dies before making up those fasts, what happens? What does he do? Barakallahu feekum. Let's see who's awake.
The walī. When you say the walī.
The walī?
Has to make up the fast.
The walī has to make up the fast?
Is that what we said?
You're asking me or? That's why I asked the question. To make sure everyone's... The eyes are open, but maybe you're sleeping with eyes open maybe. Allah Alam. So there's two types of obligatory fast, right? The one that's obligatory from the asl al-shar. In the asl al-sharia. You need the fast for Ramadan. You realize that. Then you have the fast which is not obligatory in its asl. However, you made the obligation upon yourself because you made the vow. Now you made a vow to fast. So now you made it obligatory upon yourself. So the first one, where, for example, the fast of Ramadan, the person, he passes away before he makes up those fasts. What is done in that regard?
As you said, his next to kin or his walī will make up for those fasts.
The next of kin make up for those fasts. How? Feed the miskin. So in the Ramadan fast, is that in every case? If they were able to make up for the fast. If they were able to make up for the fast, however they fell short, I say they left it too long, and then they end up passing away. Then the next of kin pay for their fast. That's if they were able to make up for it, and they were negligent in relation to making it up. As for the one that wasn't negligent, he wasn't able to make it up, death came to him before he was able to make it up, then what?
Is there walī?
There's nothing to make up. Man, there's nothing to make up. So that's for the fast of Ramadan. Then, as for the nadhr, the vow, then what do we say? The next of kin, what do? They fast they fast. So the next of kin, they fast in place of that. Why? It's a debt. It's a dayn of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this is the distinction between the two. Allah ta'ala knows best. And that, alhamdulillah, is just some of the tafsir, some of the detail in relation to the make-up of the fast for the individual that can't make up for themselves. And some also mentioned that it's not necessarily that the person has died and they can't make it up, but if now their circumstance changes, essentially they have a change in their health, and so they have a sickness that prevents them from making up those fasts, then these same ahkam, these same rulings apply as well, and Allah Ta'ala knows best. فَجَزَاكُمْ اللَّهُ خَيْرًا وَبَارَكَ اللَّهُ فِيكُمْ وَصَلَّى اللَّهُ وَبَارَكَ عَلَى نَبِيِّنَا مُحَمَّدٍ وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم وآخر دعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين.